And vitamin and mineral support is also important because of they're missing in the body. So especially selenium has an important role on glutathione metabolism and thyroid metabolism. Molybdenum deficiency leads to yeast and sulfation issues, and zinc is very important because its deficiency may cause immune, language, and attention focus issues. Look at here, if you don't have enough zinc, so you cannot make a good protein synthesis, you cannot make the methylation of DNA, RNA, and neurotransmitters, you cannot have a good energy metabolism, and you cannot detox the body enough. So magnesium deficiency can cause hyperactivity and anxiety. Calcium excess leads to hyperexcitability. Lithium, it's found almost in every kid in very low amounts. So it is important to have some lithium because it moves to B12 into the cell to help the detoxification. Otherwise, you will see high levels of B12 on the blood samples, and at the same time you will see very, very low lithium levels. When you increase the lithium, you will see B12 will go down. Methylcobalamin is also important, but I always start with adenosylcobalamin and hydroxycobalamin to first increase the cobalt levels, and then I give the methylcobalamin to be an activator for methionine homocysteine pathway. And also vitamin B6 is found in cysteine production, which is needed for glutathione. Vitamin C is has a very important role on the neurotransmitter metabolism, and also vitamin C can detox the body from many heavy metals. Vitamin E is also a good antioxidant. Vitamin K is also a good antioxidant, but much powerful than vitamin E or coenzyme Q10. And vitamin K is involved in the development of nervous system also. And vitamin D. Many patients with chronic inflammatory diseases like autism spectrum are deficient in vitamin D3. Vitamin D has a role, very important role, to decrease oxidative stress in the brain. In our group, study group, and we didn't publish this yet, 92.5% of them have genetic mutations, single nucleotide polymerases of VDR, TAG, and or VDR4. VDR affects transcription of at least more than 900 genes, and many of those genes have long been associated with autoimmune diseases and cancers. How to describe the brain damage? Most people are familiar with magnetic resonance imaging and computer-assisted axial tomography, which are all for structure and anatomy. But SPECT scanning under anesthesia can help the doctors to see how blood is flowing through different areas within a patient's brain. And it can visualize brain metabolism. It can make a better diagnosis of their condition, and frequently uncovers unexpected findings that may be contributing to the presenting problems such as toxicity. Okay, look at here. These are dysfunctional areas, but if they work normal, you will see something like this. So, SPECT scanning can show sleeping cells, idle neurons, or ischemic penumbra, and we can say these cells are recoverable or not. It is important because if you can say they are recoverable, so you can start stimulating it. If you think they are dead, so you do nothing for them. Look at it. This is a very typical autistic kid's brain spectrum. Temporal, inferior frontal, basal ganglia, and the primary motor. What are they for? Understanding, judgment, behavioral, intellectuality, language, speech, hearing, minor motors, and gross motors. So what are they? What you see in autism? You see all of them. So we know which part works for what. So if we have a spec like this, so we can make better decisions. So, for example, they go for auditory tests because they think they're not. The mothers think they don't hear anything, but look at here. We need an organ, and we need a connection cable, and we need a processing area for hearing. So if it is not working like this, so how can they hear? So this is our working area, this is the spec scanning area, this is the recovery area, and I'm processing on computer and discussing with some mothers. Okay. The important question is if the area with low activity has the possibility to recover. If we think it's a recoverable area, and I use hyperbaric oxygen therapy to stimulate these areas. And if the inflammation cause is toxins, I add chelation to this therapy. And from the last year, I start using GcMaf if the problem of inflammation is virus or bacteria. What's hyperbaric oxygen therapy? It's something like a submarine, and it's a medical treatment that uses the administration of 100% oxygen at controlled pressure for a while. And it's, as you see here, it's like a submarine. And by using pressure, scuba diving is stimulated. And we can help kids to get 100% oxygen with some special masks or hoods. Hoods like this and masks like this. So, normally air contains approximately 20% of oxygen. But if the Henry is low, if you increase the pressure, you can get more gas in solution. So, normally red blood cells carries the oxygen, and only 3% oxygen can be carried by the plasma. So when you start increasing the pressure, you will see more oxygen in the liquid. And also, normally the vital lymph and cerebrospinal fluid don't carry oxygen, but under pressure they start carrying oxygen. What are the beneficial effects of hyperbaric oxygen? There are many that I cannot put it here, but it's also important for GcMaf therapy and decreasing levels of inflammatory biochemicals. It goes for improvement of the immune system and the autoimmune system. It also helps angiogenesis. It increases the blood flow in the band of new blood vessels formation, and also decreasing the bacterial and yeast load systematically and in the gastrointestinal system, decreasing the viral load found systematically and the viral load of gastrointestinal mucosa. It is also stimulating the stem cells in certain areas in the brain and also in the bone marrow. So, I work with Professor Philip James for years for hyperbaric medicine, and he says always hyperbaric oxygen treatment, which now being used for autistic children, is to address the neuroinflammatory component of the disorder. And there's emerging evidence of chronic blood-brain barrier in these children. So, it is also proven by the Vargas study from Johns Hopkins. Let's see, this is the normal brain, this is the autistic brain. So another study showed that from University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, and hyperbaric can increase the stem cells by 8-fold. And in autism, we see increased hypoperfusion areas in the cerebral area, so neuroinflammation and gastrointestinal inflammation, excretion of porphyrins, oxidative stress, and neurodegenerative disease. With hyperbaric oxygen therapy, you can turn back all of them, and you can increase the stem cells, which is very good. So, we try to wake this brain up and make some sports to be ready for education. To confirm to confirm this improvement, we do another SPEC, which is called SPEC scan protocol. It's done for years by Dr. Neubauer and Dr. Harch, and we see the improvements. This is a rat study, but look at this is my study, and I presented this in the European Underwater and Paramedical Society's meeting last year. I mean, it was on September. Look at here, the dysfunction in this area and also here, and look at here. Totally recovered. He was 7 years old with 19 sessions. He's totally recovered. He's going to normal school now. Okay, one other result, and from one of my patients. He was able to write only like this before the therapy, but in 16 days, after 32 sessions, twice a day, so look at here, he started writing. And also, change in cognitive functions in 10 sessions, from here to here, in 13 sessions, from here to here, in 20, here to here, and in 38, and in 80 sessions, look at here, and drawing after the therapy. They're very good. The study is from Serbia, and it's also presented on the same congress. One of my other studies, so it was presented in the 2009 in the Europe Underwater and Undersea Medical and Hyperbaric Medical Society's annual scientific meeting in Las Vegas. And look at here, these are the SPEC results which are improved after we have seen improvement after the therapy. In temporal area, 82%, frontal area, 85%. So some results from the mothers. They tell me they got better 84% in speech and 87% in comprehension issues. Look, 60% less seizures than before. It's also important. So, look at here. It's a huge inflammation. She was in a fire and get burned and carbon monoxide poisoning. It was 3 hours later. And normally, many of this kind of patient dies, but 24 hours, she's alive. 72 hours and final. If we can treat a huge inflammation like this with hyperbaric oxygen therapy, why we don't treat very small inflammation in the autistic kids? So, another thing that I want to talk about it's a new approach, like bypassing the genes by biomolecular nutrigenomics, and we can say nutrients can turn on gene activity favorable to health and turn off unfavorable activity. So think that if one of them stops, it happens to others. They all stop. They're all hard to work. So using specific nutritional support, we optimize that child's gene expression to improve the body's ability to derive nutrients from food, to produce a balanced immune response, to detoxify, to balance mood and calm neurological activity. So, mothers ask me, is there any genetic analysis that we can plan for another kid? So I say no, because it's impossible to make a decision with genetic analysis, because look at this. He has the problem, but mother and father don't carry the same problem. And look at also this gene, same. You look at also this one, it's same. So where do they come from? They're environmental toxins. So we cannot give any guarantee to anyone by making genetic testing, so they will have this problem or not. But with the biomolecular nutrigenomics, takes nutrigenomic concept a step further by using RNAs to bypass mutations and restore proper pathway function. Genetic bypass provides that understanding. And finally, GcMaf therapy. I'm not going to explain you again and again about GcMaf therapy, how it works, how is good or bad. But I have to say something else on this on this holistic approach. GcMaf can reverse diseases that attack the immune system. I saw it in my patients also. I especially work for autism and MS patients, but I have also patients with Lyme, with bacterial and viral infections, chronic inflammation, and some other immune dysfunctions. And I can tell you, after 10 years of experience, GcMaf may be the last piece of our puzzle to see the whole picture.